What's up guys, this is Sean and welcome to another episode of the iherng podcast, and today we will do an Asking Sean and read an email from Yanti Idris. Hi Sean, I am one of your YouTube followers and finding your content very informative and easy to understand. I need to ask your opinion in regards to our property. We are a family of 4 with my husband, 2 young kids and myself. 4 years back, we bought a double-storey terrace house, freehold title, gated and guarded, located in Lenggeng, Negeri Sembilan, with a price of 391,000 SPA price. After rebate, our loan is around 350,000. It is around 10 minutes from Setia Eco Hill and Eco Majestic. I would say it is very kampong-like and not many amenities around. After key handover, we have renovated and furnished the house with a total cost of almost 100,000 with intention of staying at that house. We are currently working at KL, which is around 50 km one way from the house. However, we found that it is really inconvenient to travel every day, especially with 2 kids to juggle. We tried to sell off the property at 530,000 price and already engaging 2 agents since 1 year ago, but not even a single visit so far from potential buyers. Even we decreased the price to 460, also the same. If we were to rent, it would be so cheap and not worth it with the risk that our new furniture might be damaged by the tenant. To sell below 460, we will not even make back our renovation costs. Any opinion on how to push the property to be sold as soon as possible? Or any suggestions so we are not bleeding our installments every month? For your information, we have the intention to buy a condo in KL instead, so we really need to sell the house soon. So Yanti, thank you very much for the email, and it takes a lot of courage to actually share something like this, and I really do appreciate it, Yanti. So let's sum out the question first. So they have bought a house around 350,000 net, right? And they put in 100,000 in terms of renovation, so it's 450,000. But they try to sell because it's not convenient for them. They even want to sell at 460, right? Nobody is taking up. So with the current situation of the family, I think it's better to move to KL. And they're asking, what do I think? First of all, I think this highlights a common cultural issue where it has also been bugging me for a while, which means, right, why are we so obsessed with landed living? So that's something that I'm really like, I also don't understand, because like when I bought the new property that I bought, it's an apartment in Bukit Jalil, so everybody is like, especially the old folks lah, why, Sean, why are you buying an apartment that is so high in value that can easily buy a landed house? Why, Sean? Why? So that's why you can see also the trend of terrace houses in the suburbs, right? So in like new locations like Almina, Gamuda Cove, Serena City, and etc. All those are picking up really fast, because I see terrace house as like the nasi lemak of property that every Malaysians, right, love nasi lemak one. So that's like the nasi lemak lah. And you come to think of it, so that's number one. Because at that time, most likely 350,000, right? I can say it's impossible to get a landed house within the KL area with that price. Hence, sometimes people just move out of the city and stay there, right? I think the first mindset that we need to be aligned of, Yanti, is that renovation cannot be included as part of your investment. Because whatever you put, right, and the main reason why you cannot sell this property right now is because you are not willing to lose the renovation cost. Unfortunately, even in valuation reports, they will take 30% max on structural changes of the house that is deemed approved by the local authority. Only that value will be included into the house. Because tak mungkin your 350,000 house, right, just because I put in another 300,000 in for renovation, right, in terms of valuation, it is 650,000. It cannot be that way, because size are the same, location the same, we are just next to each other, so it does not make sense at all. Another cultural thing is, right, when you want to rent out, you don't want to rent out because you worry that the tenant will actually damage your unit. So we face this in the makeover guys all the time. We always perceive tenants, right, as the second grade or second class citizens, and that really needs to change lah. So what I would actually suggest you guys, right, temporarily, just to solve the problem, right, I would say to not buy another house in KL, but to rent first, right? Rent a location in KL where it's closer to work, right? Then you move your furnitures over to the rented house, then get a more affordable set to actually place into the terrace house and get the terrace house rented out. Because I think now your kids are still growing up when it's not convenient for you guys to manage everything lah. But just fast forward 5 years later. 5 years later, when your kids are a little bit older and more matured and easier to manage that basically, and then maybe you can then consider to move back. So I think that's also another option that I don't think you have considered. You don't need to really sell the house. In your case, I would suggest if you can sell the terrace house as high as possible, of course better lah, but you need to drop the intention of gaining back your renovation costs. It's very, very difficult because that's like 1 in a million and your renovation might not suit the future buyer. So just think from a potential buyer as well, right? If I were to see this house, it's 80,000 more expensive than your neighbor. Yeah, I got renovation, but I don't need it. That's the mindset and you are losing in terms of competitiveness. Then you need this cash to actually buy a new apartment in KL. Again, I think it's not as encouraged because it means you cannot afford at your current moment because you need to sell this just in order to afford this. Just think about it, like in order to sell a house, right? Let's say I give you another 3 months to actually get buyer, and after ding dong, another paperwork signed already, another 6 months down the road. So you're gonna get the final payment 9 months if they sign the agreement today. Right? 9 months if you sign the documents today, and then only you go and look for another house. I would suggest it will be way easier to actually find a location that is convenient for your entire family in KL and rent the place. So maybe you just sign a 2 years tenancy or a 1 year tenancy. I will even negotiate like you get a bare unit, right? And move your furnitures over. Because since you are worried that your new tenants will actually damage the furnitures that you guys have, right? So you do that and you get more affordable furnitures to be placed into the unit and get this unit rented out. So when you choose to rent out your unit, right? Then your renovation seems to be a plus point. Instead of your neighbor renting out 1,008, for example, oh, this one empty 1,008. Wow, this one renovated so nice already. Wow, 2,000 can or not? Not bad, ma. Because tenants won't put in money to furnish up the house also, ma. You get what I mean? So in that sense, your renovation then becomes a good differentiation factor instead of now putting you in a bad position if you try to sell. So that's what I would suggest, Yanti, for your case, right? And thank you for bringing up this issue. Because it just highlights the cultural element in our beliefs as Malaysian, right? Number one, we must stay landed. And whether close to city or further away from the city, I don't care, it must be landed terrace. I think we need to move away from that because convenience is utmost priority, especially if you are striving in your career. You need to be close to action, you need to be close to your workplace. At the same time, if you are juggling with family, lagi worse. You need all the time that you need, right? The next point is that renting is not necessarily a lower class citizen, you know. Something about renting, right, that Malaysians keep looking down to, like, yeah, you still rent your house, yeah. But if you think from a financial point of view, right, it makes a lot of sense. So in your scenario, if you were to rent a place in KL, it saves you all the time to move around. Then you can use that time to figure out somehow can you make more money. Then this house, actually, you rent out to people. Unfortunately, landed properties, you won't get a rental that is higher than in your installment one. But just strive to have as high as possible, lah, okay? So you just nego a bit. Then 5 years down the road, only you can eliminate this tenancy agreement and move back after you clean up the whole house again, right? Instead of like sell this just to buy this and then all the legal costs, here you lose money already. Then you buy this one, then maybe after 5 years, maybe we should move back. Hence, like if you really speak from money point of view, right, I also think like landed, right, it's really when you kind of like you have enough investment properties already, and then landed comes into the picture. Unless you're like buying a lot of terrace houses lah. And because just now before I make this video, right, I'm driving around PJ, a lot of old terrace houses are actually being sold, but all of those, right, are actually at the roadside. Because, you know, PJ local roads somewhat becomes like a highway. There are a lot of cars just to avoid the LDP. They all drive inside. And that becomes a nuisance as well. And you say price appreciation. Correct. Because they buy 12 years ago, right? 120,000. Now it's like 900,000. But who is going to buy? That's my question, you know. If you spend 900,000, don't say 900,000, you spend 200,000 to own a house. Then you spend another 300,000 to actually do the renovation so it's livable. But then you don't get to enjoy all the facilities. There's no facilities. There's not even a system that can secure your house, you know. Every time you park, then you will kind of worry that you will get robbed. Whether or not they will rob you or not is another thing, but it's the sense of security that you don't get by staying in a condo that I think is rather important. Unless it's like gated and guarded, so it's a whole different thing, right? A lot of thinking, so I will just share next time when I just kind of like conclude this thought. So this cultural thing about Malaysians, right? If you don't own a property by 28, you are like sort of a loser. Really? Like in this kind of time and age, right? I can own a business first, I can run a multi-million-dollar business and I can still rent a house. A lot of investors that I know actually owns several property, but they rent the house that they stay because it's still deemed as a cost. So that is kind of contradicting to the beliefs and culture that Malaysian used to have. And yeah, we'll just keep that for another episode. So thank you very much, Yanti, again, because your email struck all these kind of thoughts. Very good. So for those who still have any information or question that you need, right, do email me at taniherng@gmail.com, taniherng@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, iherng. So I think that's all. Thank you very much. See you guys on the next one. Ciao.